Why is the Philippines suddenly ramping up its military power? With new jets, ships, and a bigger budget, it's making waves in Southeast Asia. Let's break down what's changing. The Philippines is now recognized as Southeast Asia's fifth strongest military power, and it's not standing still. For 2025, the country's defense budget will hit about $4.65 billion US. That's a 12.3% jump from last year. Most of that goes to the Army, but the Air Force and Navy are getting major boosts too. In terms of manpower, the Philippines fields about 150,000 active military personnel, backed by a massive 1.2 million reservists. Added up, over 1.3 million people ready to serve. Now, while the Army's heavy equipment is still modest, less than a dozen tanks and mostly light armored vehicles, it's getting upgrades thanks to fresh deliveries from South Korea. The Air Force is doubling its light fighter fleet with 12 new FA-50 jets, adding attack planes and rolling out dozens of Black Hawk helicopters. Meanwhile, the Navy is expanding fast with new corvettes and patrol ships joining the fleet. Modernization is the name of the game. The Philippines is investing big in radars, drones, cyber defense, and even missile systems. These upgrades mean better maritime patrols and a stronger air defense network. Plus, the Philippines isn't alone. As a U.S. treaty ally, it hosts joint exercises like Balikatan, and is deepening ties with partners like Japan and Australia. More joint training and intelligence sharing means the military is shifting from fighting insurgents to defending its territory. Bottom line, the Philippines is stepping up as a regional power, modernizing, training, and strengthening alliances to keep its borders secure. Watch this space. The region is paying attention. What I wish I knew about Singapore's army: size isn't everything. Quality beats quantity here. Singapore spends big, over $17 billion a year, on defense, upgrading non-stop. Their military is all about readiness and partnerships, not just hardware. With about 51,000 active troops and over 250,000 reservists, nearly every able-bodied man serves 2 years, giving Singapore one of the best-trained forces per capita worldwide. It's not about numbers, it's about skill. The arsenal, seriously modern. Over 100 fighter jets, including F-15SGs and soon, 20 top-tier F-35S. Continuation of previous line. The Army rolls with 170 tanks, thousands of armored vehicles and high-tech rocket launchers. The Navy, 6 stealth submarines, advanced frigates, and missile corvettes, ready for anything. But hardware's just half the story. Singapore is obsessed with modernization. AI, cyber defense, smart drones, and digital battle networks keep them ahead. New gear rolls out constantly, like the Titan IFV and next-gen submarines. And alliances matter. Singapore's not in big defense treaties, but it punches above its weight, hosting U.S. forces, training with Australia, the UK, even China. It's a founding member of the 5 power defense arrangements, proving multilateralism is their secret weapon. Strong fences make good neighbors, that's their motto. Training, next level. National service builds a massive, skilled reserve. Troops train at home and overseas, think Taiwan and the U.S., and Singapore runs joint drills with global partners. Their readiness is legendary, with aircraft up and running 70% of the time, and subs deployable at a moment's notice. So why is Singapore Southeast Asia's #4 military power? It's not manpower, it's muscle, tech, and teamwork. Small country, big deterrent. That's how Singapore stays ready for anything. Am I the only one that didn't know Thailand is the region's 3rd strongest military? Their numbers might surprise you. With a defense budget of around $5 to $6 billion, about 1% of its GDP, Thailand keeps its military well funded. Nearly half of all spending goes to the army, supporting over 360,000 active personnel and another 200,000 reservists. That's a massive force, with the army fielding more than 600 tanks and nearly 17,000 armored vehicles. The Air Force flies 72 combat jets and over 250 helicopters, while the Navy deploys 7 frigates, 6 corvettes, and a helicopter carrier. Submarine-capable ships are ready even though actual subs haven't arrived yet. Modernization is a top priority. Thailand is upgrading F-16 fighters, buying Apache helicopters, and building new patrol vessels. There's a focus on homegrown defense tech, especially in their new defense industry zone and electronic warfare capabilities. Internationally, Thailand is a key U.S. ally under the 1954 Mutual Defense Treaty. The annual Cobra Gold exercise with the U.S. is one of the world's largest multinational drills. Thailand is also active in ASEAN forums and even trains with China. Conscription ensures fresh recruits. Over 1 million Thais reach military age yearly. The military maintains top readiness with counterinsurgency missions in the south and constant joint training. In short, Thailand's balanced, modernizing forces and strong alliances keep it firmly in Southeast Asia's top 3 military powers. What if I told you that the second most powerful military in Southeast Asia isn't the one you're thinking of? Let's talk about Vietnam. Yeah, Vietnam, the military giant in the region that often flies under the radar but absolutely shouldn't. First up, let's talk numbers. Vietnam's defense budget hit about $7.8 billion in 2024. That's just over 2% of their GDP, and here's the kicker. It keeps growing, about 5.6% each year. Where's that money going? Straight into large-scale upgrades and new acquisitions. We're talking serious firepower. Vietnam's manpower is absolutely massive. The country can call on 600,000 active-duty troops and a mind-blowing 5 million reservists, thanks to a nationwide militia system. That's one of the biggest manpower pools in all of Asia, not just Southeast Asia. Every Vietnamese man is conscripted for 2 years, so the military stays stocked, trained, and ready for anything. But having people is only part of the story. Let's look at the hardware. On the ground, Vietnam's army rolls out with nearly 1,400 tanks and close to 12,000 armored vehicles. In the skies, the Air Force fields 41 powerful jet fighters, mostly Russian models like the Su-27 and Su-30, and about 100 helicopters for fast mobility. Over at sea, Vietnam's Navy is no pushover. With 110 ships including 9 stealthy Kilo-class submarines and a fleet of corvettes and frigates, they're a force to be reckoned with, especially in a region where maritime disputes are a daily headline. Vietnam's been on a modernization spree too. They've bought some of Russia's best hardware, think advanced submarines, air defense systems, and those Su-30 Mk-2 fighter jets I mentioned earlier. But they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. Vietnam's now buying high-tech howitzers from South Korea and even U.S. trainer aircraft, all to keep their edge razor sharp. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Alliances. Vietnam is a master at hedging. They've just upgraded ties with the U.S., calling them a comprehensive strategic partner, but they're also keeping close defense relations with India, Japan, and others. Even as they keep importing Russian tech, they're managing a tricky but smart balancing act with China, both economically and militarily. Readiness? It's sky high. The Vietnamese military has deep combat experience, a legacy of past wars and training that focuses on joint operations and rapid mobilization. So why does this matter? Because Vietnam isn't just a military giant on paper. They're actively shaping the security landscape in Southeast Asia, especially with tensions rising in the South China Sea. When you look at the numbers, the gear, and the strategy, it's clear Vietnam stands tall among the region's military heavyweights. This is why Indonesia leads Southeast Asia's military rankings. Budget, manpower, and unstoppable modernization. Let's break it down. Indonesia tops the charts as Southeast Asia's strongest military. And the facts are hard to ignore. With a defense budget nearing $25 billion in 2024, the highest in the region, Indonesia isn't just making promises, it's making real investments. The Indonesian military, or TNI, boasts around 400,000 active personnel, another 400,000 reservists, and a massive paramilitary force. That's a combined strength unmatched anywhere else in ASEAN. On land, Indonesia's army commands over 300 main battle tanks and more than 20,000 armored vehicles. In the skies, they operate over 40 fighter jets, including the latest Rafale fighters, and a fleet of helicopters for rapid response. The Navy, equally impressive, with over 300 vessels including frigates, corvettes, and submarines to patrol one of the world's longest coastlines. Indonesia isn't slowing down. The country's investing in next-gen drones, new warships, and local shipbuilding. Plus, its forces train constantly, ready to defend its sprawling archipelago at a moment's notice. And when it comes to partnerships, Indonesia keeps its options open, exercising with the US, Australia, and neighbors, but always on its own terms. In short, budget, manpower, and modernization set Indonesia apart as Southeast Asia's military leader. No one else comes close.